Welcome back, friends. So for today's tutorial, I'm going to talk about some curling techniques, specifically on how to get kind of a fluffier, bigger curl when you're trying to do hair that's all down or primarily down. So I'm going to show you two different techniques today, and I'll kind of do them side by side so you can see the difference. So first of all, one thing to note when you're doing just curls is you want to make sure that you have prepped the hair really well. So sometimes that means that she needs to get a blowout beforehand. Maybe she just needs to blow dry it herself so you're prepared. Her hair is prepped so it doesn't have a lot of kinks in it. So it's got a little bit of product. So I have my brides maybe do a blowout with some mousse to give it a little bit of hold, especially on someone who's got really fine hair. So you want to make sure that you've had prep going to this first. So let's assume we've done that. Now we're going to start by taking manageable sections. And so I say manageable sections is because if you have really thick hair, you're going to have to take smaller sections. If you have really thin hair, you can take a little bit bigger sections. So the section is going to depend on the hair that you are working with. And you will know that when you test out the first few strands, because if you're finding right away that the curl is not holding, that's a good sign that you need to take a smaller section right away. So we're going to start by brushing through just to make sure all of the knots are out. And then you're going to use a flexible hold hairspray and you're going to spray through the whole section, and then you're going to comb through again. Now, depending on how curly you want the curl to be, so like if she wants it to be curled from the head all the way down, that's where you'll decide where to start your curl. For this sake, we're going to do kind of more of a natural curl. So that means I'm not going to go all the way up to the scalp. I'm just going to kind of go mid-strand down. And what's really important about curls is you just have to think about how you're holding the curling iron, and how tight you're wrapping it will show you how tight the curl is going to be. So this way I'm wrapping it more on the looser side. And what I want to do is I want to take this curl out without stretching it out until it's cooled. So I like to turn my curling iron upside down and walk the hair out of it like this and let it down. And so that right off the bat is going to just give us a stronger curl because you're letting it cool before you let it fall. So I'm just going to show you the difference if I don't do what I just did. So I'm going to hold the curling iron in the same way, but this time I'm not going to use the hairspray, and I'm not going to hold it as long. So if I don't hold it as long and then I just walk the curl out like this, you can see what a big difference this makes. And so what this means then is when you go to break up this curl, you're not going to have as strong a hold on this one, and you're not going to have the longevity that this one does. So when you are working with curls, you just want to make sure that you hold it long, that you let the hair cool down in the curl shape, and that will help with the longevity of the curl. Now, as far as making these fluffy and bigger, this is kind of the fun part. So I'll show you two different techniques. The first technique I'll do on this one. So I always like to spray with texture spray first. I use texture spray because if you just use hairspray, hairspray sticky. It doesn't let the hair kind of get big. It just kind of sticks together. So using a texture spray on the curl is what's going to help do that. Now I like to use a prong comb like this, so it has metal prongs at the end to break up my curl. So I'm going to start at the bottom and just kind of pull through it a little bit. So I'm breaking up the curl already with this. So you can see I'm already getting a little bit looser, right? And so now we've broken up kind of that hairspray curl. Now this looks pretty good on its own. This could be a cute look. You have a little bit of bounce to it. If you have a head full of these, that's cute. But if we really want to make it a little bit bigger, you're going to go through with texture spray again on the top and the underneath. And then what I want you to do is just pinch a little bit on the top and the bottom, and you're just going to start to pull it apart. So I'm just kind of stretching the curl and separating it really gently with my fingers. And because you've used that texture spray, that's what's going to help this kind of stay tacky and stay together without getting frizzy. And so you can see that it's starting to get a little bit more full down here, but it's not getting frizzy. We're just kind of separating it and making it bigger. So you're just kind of holding on to little strands at the bottom and pulling to separate. And it kind of just pulls these out and makes it have a little more bounce to it, a little fluffier. And then you can finish this with hairspray. So you come through and just hold the curl up and finish with hairspray. And so now the trick here is you're not gonna touch this anymore because this curl is done. And then you're gonna build upon it. So your next curl after this will be on top of it, and you can kind of go back and forth with direction. And that's gonna just build a nice big kind of fluffier big curl all the way through. So that's kind of a fun technique to make kind of a piecey, bigger curl that ends up looking really good when you have it all pulled together, and it's not frizzy and it's gonna last. Now the second way you can do this, so I'll pull out this curl next to it, is with a little bit of backcombing. So I'm gonna do the same technique with this. I'm gonna spray it first with the texture spray over the top, and then we'll break it up. Sometimes the ends get a little sticky, especially on blonde hair like this. So don't be afraid to kind of pull through. But you can see how this doesn't have as much hold as the other one, right? It's already a lot flatter. But what I wanna do with this one now is we're gonna just add some backcombing. So I'm using a 3-row comb here, and I believe that this really does really good backcombing. When you use a smaller tooth comb, it just grabs more hair all at once, and it can end up looking a little bit more messy and knotted, where this just distributes the hair more evenly in this comb, and it just gets it fuller without getting messy. So we're gonna go underneath, holding it really loose tension, starting near the top of the curl and working our way down. We're just backcombing, holding it super loose, like so. And so what this does is right now you feel like, okay, you can see a little bit of the backcombing under here, but that's okay because you can smooth out the little ones on the edge if they need it. But this just increased the volume of this curl, okay? And what this will do is it builds. So I'm gonna do the same thing where I hold this up in a hairspray. Now you go through and you do this all the way across to the underneath layers, lay down, lay hair down, lay hair down. And when you get to the top, then you don't backcomb anymore. So you backcomb the underneath of all these curls as you go, which creates that fullness. And then the hair that's on the top is laying over the underneath, and you're not seeing that backcombing because the hair is covering it up. Now, some hair is obviously not gonna take as well to backcombing, and so you wanna be really gentle and very, very mindful of not doing it too much or overdoing the backcombing, but just backcombing slightly can create some fullness. And then if you're going back and forth in different directions with your curls as you take down layers and build, then you're just building a lot of nice volume and you have like a fluffier, bigger, bouncier curl. So very exciting. Let me know if you have any questions about that. The texture spray that I'm using today is Spray Clay from Sexy Hair. It's a heavier one. I really like it on hair that's thick, but it's not good on hair that's fine. It's a little bit too heavy. If you really like learning these foundational techniques and you want to learn more about curling, diving into this stuff, get on my wait list for the boot camp that's coming up. The link is in the comments or in the info below. And you can always reach me at the Updo Collective @gmail.com. My name is Heidi, and thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week.